Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and I don't really know what today's video is going to be about. It may just be a conversation, so I'm just warning you now that there may or may not be tarot readings as part of this video. I want to point out that I finished edging my Alien Tarot deck, which just had white edges, and I guess it would have made more sense to do like the neon green because it is on the back of the cards. And one of my viewers said that she was going to do it with the green, which is probably the more sensible color. But because of my childhood experience regarding a UFO and the color pink, I decided to do it pink. And it really turned out awesome. And I don't really understand why more deck creators don't, as a standard, edge the decks, because it really lends to it feeling more complete. Let me flip the camera and just look at this real quick. I mean, just when you're handling it, and it just feels like a, oh, my ring got in the way, sorry. It just feels like a, I don't know, it just feels like it's finished, And anyway, I've only edged 3 decks now in my 50 years of reading tarot cards. And in 50 years, that's all I've done. But the decks that I've finished, they just feel so much more complete and just so much nicer. You guys may notice all my candles all the time at the end of the table. I'm always lighting a candle for somebody or something. And we might say that they're my wishes or my intents for people. And I just had an experience recently that reminded me that you must be careful what you wish for, no matter how innocuous it seems. And even if you say, I don't want anyone to be damaged or hurt, but this is what I would like to see happen. I did that recently. And the outcome, I got my wish, but the outcome was worse than had I not made the wish. And so it was a lesson, and I apologized to the universe, and I expressed to the universe that I understood my error, and that was a good lesson, and be careful what you wish for. And I just thought I'd say that publicly because it's very important what we wish for, how we wish for it. And another thing, in general, so many times when I've done readings, especially in the beginning of the year, right before who took over, and even last year, we got so many feminine cards, so many the female presence appearing in so many spreads, and I wasn't exactly sure what it suggested. Did it suggest that women were going to be, last year I thought maybe Miss Harris was going to win, and it did seem like that she had the momentum. It really seemed like that. But then, of course, she's not president right now, so whatever that means, she didn't win. But now I'm beginning to think that the presence of the women is that I'm being instructed, or I'm being made to understand that we need women in positions of power. We need women in positions of power. And who are we seeing surfacing and speaking? But women like Jasmine Crockett and Alexandra Ocasio, I'm sorry, her last name is escaping me. I knew it 10 seconds ago, but I'm having some issues with remembering things, so I do apologize. Ocasio. These are the women, these are the people who are really speaking out and being fearless about it. In New Jersey, there's a woman running for governor, and I really like her. I've seen a few. She's not being presented very much on commercial television. You have to find her on channels like, iHip and the Midas Touch Network and other networks that are similar. She's getting airtime there, but she's excellent. She's she was a Navy pilot, and she's got herself together. She's really smart, and she's got what it takes to lead and govern. And I'm definitely, I voted already. I sent my vote in. So, and I persuaded my husband to vote for her. Now, when the nominees for the governorship of our state became known, it caught his eye that a guy from his hometown where he grew up was running. And he's like, I'm voting for that guy. Just by virtue of him having been, born and raised in my town, he's a Democrat through and through. There's no possibility of there being any other thing. And I was like, okay. I mean, if like all things being equal, if you don't know who else to vote for, I guess that's fine. But I started hearing about Mikey Sherrill, 2 R's, 2 L's. And then I started watching interviews with her and articles about her. And then I went to my husband and said, don't waste your vote. You need to be voting for her. And of course, at first he was like, well, what do you mean? That kind of thing. And I was like, listen to her and just watch a few of the videos. And sure enough, he voted for her. And she has our vote. And hopefully, if any of you are from the state of New Jersey, you will consider her as well. She seems really good. She told a story. She relayed a story how when she was a young pilot and she was being given instructions, one of her flight instructors told her that he felt uncomfortable and he didn't feel like it was appropriate for him to be her instructor because after all, he was a Christian man. And that always stuck with her. And hearing it all these years later, it's ridiculous, right? It's like, what? And this is why we have to have separation of church and state. Because the regime that's in power now sees no place for women. And the message that was coming through, I'm really understanding it, is that we have to affirm qualified women, of course. But we need to support women in roles of authority because we've had 250 years of it being the other way. And look where we are. So it's time. It's time. Another thing that bugs me is with what's going on in the United States, it's not just oh well kind of thing, it'll be over in 4 years. This is the kind of thing that can irreparably damage us for decades. And I get really distressed when, I'm a YouTube individual. I obviously I'm a creator. And I support other creators, and so I have my favorite channels. I don't even watch TV anymore. I don't bother with television. I do have a couple shows I like to watch. I like Ghosts, and there's another show I like to watch. I like to watch On the Spectrum. I like that show because everybody in my family is on the spectrum, so I can relate. But anyway, I like a couple shows. But that's it, and half the time I forget that they're even, on and I miss them. But so when I watch anything, it's usually on YouTube. And I'm noticing that my favorite channels, whether it's for true crime or history channels or whatever, they don't ever, especially if they're American, I don't expect other countries to broach the topic, but I notice that nobody's saying, nobody's making a statement. Everybody is so afraid to make a comment or to speak out against something so horrific that's affecting all of us. It's almost like life is normal and everything's okay. And we have a platform. We have an opportunity to speak, because sometimes all it takes is for someone else to hear a message and to take pause and to consider, yeah, what that person just said makes sense. I mean, you don't have to make the whole video about that, but at some point in your dialogue, I think if you have a voice like we do here, you need to speak it, and you need to use your voice, and you need to, and I'm losing respect for channels that just pretend like everything's normal, and I just got this channel, and subscribe and pay for a membership and make sure, you share the channel. And it's like, what's the point of having a voice if you're not going to really use it when it matters? That's just a pet peeve. I have another thing I want to mention. And the reason it's important to speak up is because they're the 1%. We're the 99%. If the 99% doesn't show cohesion, or it doesn't show that they're united, then we're compliant. And we let it happen. Every one of these universities, or every one of these attorneys, or every one of these whatever, who bows down or steps back when who threatens with, you're going to do this or that or this or that, or I'm going to take away this or that. Universe bless Harvard University, and universe bless anyone else who says, yeah, we'll try it. I'm here for it. Because it gives other people strength. That's why it's important to speak and use your voice. Because you never know who might have been on the fence or who wasn't paying attention, and they may hear. And then they may just use their voice, or they may use their ability to protest, or they may use their ability to boycott, or they just might use their ability to vote and register to vote. You never know who you'll influence to do the right thing and taking a stand against this regime. And it's a regime. We're past, oh, this is terrible, I can't wait till the 4 years is over. It might not be over unless we take a stand, and we stand together. Benjamin Franklin was noted for having said something like, when we were declaring independence from England and trying to become a new nation. I think it was paraphrased from another source, probably European, because after all, he was a European. But he said, we have to stand together, or surely we have to hang together, or surely we'll hang separately, or we'll hang alone. Meaning, if we don't hang together and confront this together, if we don't hang together, right, we're going to hang individually, because they're going to get us, and the only chance we have is to use our voice as one. So, okay, you hung in with me for almost 14 minutes. I owe you a reading or two. So let's do a couple readings. I think I have showcased this deck. It was very inexpensive in the days when I was purchasing from Amazon. It's called the Omnito Tarot of Marseille. It is a deck from China. It's based on the Burdell. The box is real nice. It's got one of those rose petal finishes. The back is beautiful. It's a real nice back. And we have, it's a borderless TDM, which is also really nice. And I don't think it's not the most expensive cardstock, but it also was an inexpensive deck, which is why I purchased it and showcased it, because I do like to remind people that although the beautiful decks that I have accrued over the years from great makers, like, Marco and Giordano and Il Meneghello. You don't have to have a lot of money and spend a lot of money to be able to use TDM. And so I have often showcased these inexpensive tarot decks that you can get that are TDM and just fine. So I'm going to be using, and it's nice, this one's a nice shuffle. And because I have so much downtime now that I'm not purchasing tarot decks anymore, so I don't have a lot of decks to show. Most of the decks that I haven't shown you are all kind of like kind of stupid, I guess. Like this one, the Romantic Tarot. I don't know why I bought it. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was a gift. When I go through my decks and I saw this, I was like, when did I buy that? And why did I buy that? But, it's just, I got decks like this that I've never shown. But do you really want to see them? Let me know below if you really want to see something like this. I went through it to put it in order. It's definitely Rider-Waite-Smith. It's got pretty backs. Maybe if you do hotlines and a lot of people have romantic questions, it might not be a bad deck for that. I guess it could be appropriate for that. Let me know down below if you'd like to hear a commentary or see each of the cards, and I'll do a video on it, but for now I'm not. So let me go off camera, come up with 3 questions to ask, to put to these cards. I'll be right back. As some of you may recall, in the earlier part of the year, I did a reading on when will this regime, when will we begin to see signs of it collapsing. And my cards suggested that it would begin in March, April. Oh, wow, I had a sheet of paper with cards. Probably while I was shuffling that blew the paper. I'll have to find it and put it close up there. But I've had this bowl of my intents. I've had it kept going, like my spell to see it through. Now, we have seen Emo Boy suddenly, his stocks and everything about his business is collapsing and he's stepping out. Now, I have since learned that it seems as though the regime hired him in a capacity that is rarely ever implemented, but there was some kind of strange little law that said someone like him could be hired for a certain amount of days, but he'd have to be out by that time frame. And I think it was May 3rd is the time frame that he has to be out. So without knowing it, it's coming to fruition that Emo Boy is being removed, or he's removing himself. But it's probably has more to do with that little unknown law than it has to do with him being crumbled or leaving because of disgrace or anything like that. And we have seen HPH, I'm not saying their names, with some controversy because of Signalgate. And although, he's making sure that he blames everybody in the world except for the fact that he is incompetent for the reason, for the fact that classified information was sent to reporters and brother-in-laws or whoever. So we're seeing some of that. Maybe he'll be removed. But I guess I want to ask the likelihood that this regime will end sooner rather than later. I just want to see some confirmation. I just want to see. I'm just ask the universe to just throw us a bone. Let us see, how effective our intents and our dreams and our wishes and our collaboration to try to bring an end to this. How realistic is it that it will be sooner rather than later? So I've just asked the universe for, an indication, just to throw us a bone, let us know. I mean, if we're fighting a battle for the next 15 or 20 years, we should know that. And if we've got light at the end of the tunnel situation, it would be helpful to know that too. So here we go. Magician, Fortitude, I always say this is the party card, the celebration card. It's a Swiss deck. Of course, it's Burdell, but it's a Swiss deck, and you can always tell a Swiss deck. One of the cards you can tell by is the 4 of coins, because it looks like party to me. It looks like a party. It looks like New Year's Eve. It looks like celebration, hanging from the rafters and blowing your horns and throwing confetti into the air. So it's a return of stability. So let's pull the Quint card before I get into what I think these other 2 cards could suggest. So we have 12 and 12 and 4. 16. So that would suggest the Tower. Oh, it doesn't just suggest the Tower. It is the Tower card. You know, sometimes when I pause and go to get the card, it's like the next card. And then when I do this on camera, it's like forever. Sometimes it's like the last card. I should probably just go to the last card. Oh my goodness, look at this. Here it is. So the question was, you know, throw us a bone or to give us some insight as to how long, you know, how long this might last, or, you know, we want the regime to end. So it's hopeful that we have the Tower card as the Quint card, because it is the hope, you know, that it will come to an end. It will come to an end. Now, notice that this is 4 and it's the suit of coins. And for me, I associate coins with the longest paced time. So we're going to be in this for a while. So we can't lose our momentum, you know. We can't be tired. I am tired. I'm exhausted. Every day I wake up sick to my stomach, you know. But every day I feel like, you know, in any small way that I have, I've got to be part of the team that stands for democracy, you know. But I think the 4 coins, being this card, reading this deck, shows that there will be a restoration of well-being, and it will be a glorious thing, but it may take a while. Now, you know, hopefully it won't take 4 years. But it may take, it might not be immediate, but we will see it happen. And to get us there, well, I see this is the card of the Khan, and that's just him, I guess, being forceful against him. So, you know, like I was talking earlier in the video, we're stronger together than we are individually and separately, right? So if we're a force to be reckoned with, we will overcome the Khan. But we have to be all in. We have to be all in. I'm speaking to Americans mostly, you know. I know that some Europeans and Canadians recognize that not all Americans are support of him. And but a lot of people just lump us all in together, you know, like, you guys did this, you know. I didn't. I'm a never Trumper. I said the name. I said it to make a point. I'm a never, you-know-whoer, you know, never. And there's a lot of people like me. So we saw the light at the end of the tunnel. It will happen. It may not happen overnight, but there's strength in numbers, fortitude to overcome the Khan, right? And that's reassuring, because it just feels like every day I just can almost not bear the day. It's just that I have the grandbabies and I have kids, and I feel like with my last ounce of effort, I've got to do what it takes to bring restoration, with them too. I mean, they're participating as well, of course. But anyway, let me go off camera and think of 2 more questions, because I like to do readings in at least 3s when I do a brief one. Okay, I put to the universe what we might be allowed to see. Will Pete H be removed? Now this video is being made on the 23rd of April. So you'll be seeing this on the 24th. So I don't know if it'll be news. It's 3 o'clock it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon on April 23rd. Okay. So if it happens this evening, and I just wanted to note the time and the date. What is the likelihood of Pete H being removed from his position? Now, chances are good he'll remain close, because they're bottom feeders and they need to be together, and he'll probably get paid an exorbitant amount of money as a bottom feeder consultant. But will he? And I'm sure he'll just be replaced with someone just as bad, or maybe even worse. But what is the likelihood that Pete H will be removed from office? Oh man, look at that. So I would take that as an indication that it's probably good. Okay, that's interesting. Let me take another card. Again, a woman. Interesting. A woman in a position of power. And now I shuffled, Wow. Okay. And fortitude. Maybe it's closer than we think that we'll get a break. Dare I get hopeful? So we have 4 and 11 is 15. As you know, I don't count the court cards, so that would be the devil. What to make of this? What to make of this? I love the Burdell. It's such a nice deck. It's got the beautiful Swiss touches, Beautiful Swiss influence. There he is. And wasn't there a video a few days ago that I did about a woman, when I asked what was going to be the news for the week, or what was going to happen this week? There was news about a woman who might be the downfall of a man. And I'm wondering, again, if it has to do with Pete H. Now she in this case, being his wife, she didn't deliberately do anything. She just happened to be involved in the thing, in the text thread, I wonder if it's something else. But this is in reference to him, the likelihood of him being removed. And for me, this card represents vanity, wickedness, evilness, of course. It could represent a good time and fun if that's, the nature of the question. But in the context of this question, that's not what it's representing. It's representing what it looks like it's representing. So it's going to take, again, an effort, maybe the outcry, maybe, if there's a lot of outcry and outrage publicly made about the disgrace, then perhaps it will happen. But there has to be, I guess, outrage, a collective outrage regarding, how terrible a situation it was. Now, as for the woman, now so this suggests that yes, it will happen. As for the woman, maybe it's something else. Maybe it'll be a judge. Maybe it will come down to a female judge. Out of, as a result of public outcry and the public being behind the decision to get rid of the monster one at a time. Wow, okay. And one more question, I'll be right back. Well, I don't do this very often, but I just ask the universe for numbers. The universe, give us numbers, clues and numbers. Numbers to look for. It could be in a date, it could be in weeks, it could be in months, but just give us numbers that we could relate to some relief. I'm not sure exactly, I'm not sure I'm articulating well enough with universe what the numbers could be. I'm just asking the universe. I've asked the universe to present us with some numbers that might have beneficial meaning to us and to keep our eye on it. Okay. Oh, okay, no number. Okay, well that's okay, because if it's a 2-digit number, that would be why that takes a place. So we have 6 of swords. If it's going to be swords, 6 isn't a bad one, by the way. 6 and 8. And notice that they're both, so 68. And notice that they're both weapons. Not that, I'm just pointing that out. This one has to do with communication. This one has to do with social momentum. 8, and they're beautiful numbers. 6 is a perfect number, and 8 is a great number of organization, right? So these two numbers are good. I'm getting a very good vibe. Something about 68. Let's remember this. Let's just remember this. It could be 86, but it came out in this order, 68. And they're both great numbers, solid numbers, Beauty and love, organization of the people, and communication, spreading the word. Okay, well, friends, I hope these readings and this chat has been okay with you. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, and please be kind.